Callery. Wait till we're all set up. How are you guys doing? Are you enjoying the con?
We are.
Awesome.
We are. It's closer to home, which is nice, and it's a little more like Comic-Con's very intense. This is a little more feet on the ground for me, but don't get me wrong, I love them both.
Awesome. Okay. So we're just coming off. I'm going to start in on the Jessica Jones season 2 because I just finished it. I loved it.
Oh, good.
I absolutely.
I was a little nervous.
Absolutely loved it.
Oh, great.
And then I want to. There's so many other different themes that you guys explored.
That's true.
In this, can you maybe talk about a piece of music in this that you really liked coming up with, or liked working? Because that's different from what we've seen so far. We've seen Jessica, we've seen Malcolm.
Yep. I will say that the Hogarth storyline had a particular effect on me, just because we have people that we know in our lives that sometimes have struggled with unforeseen illnesses, and one of the first pieces I had to write for her in the entire season was we worked on the second episode before the first, actually, and there's a scene where she pulls over in her car and she just is overwhelmed, and then she sees a woman from the street who she befriends. That was one of the first pieces of music I had to write, and I had to kind of I just enjoyed that moment because she's a very hard-edged person, and yet she was in a very vulnerable place, and the music could not be just completely soft and gentle because she still has that hard shell, if you will, and yet it had to be vulnerable because she was facing a really huge struggle. So that became sort of her theme for the season, and I was happy that the theme Melissa liked it, Melissa Rosenberg, and it stayed.
Awesome. Awesome.
Great. Yeah, and I know you've written for just so many shows. They're some of my favorite shows, and it's just incredible that they have such unique qualities and aesthetics by themselves. How do you kind of work to create just like individual kind of vibes and for each show?
Well, the easiest way I can answer is if you ever played with an Etch-a-Sketch, you have to kind of shake it. You know, when you shake it and everything goes away. When I start a new show, I try to start from that place and then build the show organically from that place. Jessica Jones, I got hired for Jessica Jones because Melissa Rosenberg had seen Homeland, and she thought there was some work that I did in Homeland that might resonate or be a point of departure for the Jessica Jones. And I would have had no idea how the sound of Jessica Jones would have come about the last 2 years, but it did, and the theme was honored with an Emmy Award, which I was so humbled by. And now the new soundtrack's out with a much longer theme. It's an extended version, so check that out.
Awesome.
And, but yeah, you just the short answer is that when you're looking at a story of a new character in a new setting in a new environment, you just have to pay attention to all that's going on in those places. These costume people, like I was so riveted. I wanted to ask them questions, costume and makeup, because that informs us so much when you're working on a show, and we're standing kind of on their shoulders by the time we're sitting down to write it. I mean, Jessica's leather jacket, you can't really see that. You can't see Kristen Ritter without that jacket. It's all a part of the whole.
It's her superhero
experience.
costume.
It's her thing. Although you can't see Jessica Jones without Kristen Ritter, so I'm not trying to say that the jacket makes the role, but she certainly wears it perfectly.
Yeah.
You talked a little about Jerry's arc. Can you talk a little bit about Trish? And because her arc is huge this season, and what was it like writing for that?
I loved that the relationship between Trish and Jessica got so explored. I don't know if I've ever worked on any story or any show in which the relationship between two friends. I've worked on relationships between two male friends. I just don't know if I've ever had the opportunity to score or work on a story involving two really close women who have a very rich history. And it was very, I want to say it was a delicious challenge, because they really they wrote it in such a way that you saw their history, even in the way they looked at each other, even when there wasn't, when she came with the ashes. Just the way they looked at each other in that moment, it speaks volumes about the two actors that were doing that scene. But you really see with Trish in particular, she had quite an arc. She had quite a change, going on with her. And she's a bit unpredictable for me. As a matter of fact, I chose not to read beyond the fifth script because I really didn't want to know what was going to happen to her. I wanted to really find that out like a fan, because I out of all the arcs, I was surprised at how things went with her. Like, did you all see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she caught the thing in the elevator at the very end, I thought, whoa, like that was where is that a thread that we're going to pull on for season 3? So I'm very excited about that. I wonder. She's the one character I don't know. Could she become bad? Could she turn against Jessica? I just don't know. I'm like you in that regard.
That little scene had like some kind of jaunty little music when she catches it too. It's very, like as happy as it like.
It's interesting. I think one of the first times I scored it a little bit more unsettled. Like is this the beginning of something a little darker? And I just interpreted the moment not. It's not that it was incorrect, it was just, in the end, it turned out it was better to play it a little lighter so as not to betray any kind of meaning to it that wasn't there. But I thought it was pretty, I couldn't do that, and she did, so.
I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit. It was really cool in the panel how you talked about, for Jessica, she was this cat.
Yeah.
And you did she had like a cat-like theme. And I know there's character. I'm not going to ask for Trish in this case, but do you have any other inspirations behind some of the other characters? Like Jerry, you said you went to a personal place, but are there any other animal inspirations for?
It's it's funny. Just to clarify one thing, I think I said cat and then I said kitty cat, which I think I would take back, because I don't think Jessica's a kitty cat. She's a very elegant, smart and very amazing human being. It's interesting. I don't know if an animal with Hogarth. I would say, and I'm not just conjuring this up, but there was something so icy cold about her, and the cold-blooded was really the sort of message that came through to me when I first saw her. And I was thinking more of a cold-blooded creature, because she was cold-blooded as a character. Now, I didn't imagine beautiful, wonderful Carrie-Anne Moss as a reptile, that character had the ability to just slay, and that was such a wonderful part of the season 2, is that you saw this vulnerability in even the most cold-blooded of people, which made it amazingly watchable. So that's why I love working for this show, because the characters got so. Look what happened to Malcolm.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite scenes in the whole season, it was at the very end, when they walked past each other in the very last episode, not speak. There's something about their exchange that's like, okay, there's like a détente. There's like a kind of an uneasy peace between them, and there's wounds and there's unfinished business, but they just walked right on by. I just love it when the actors give you so much to work with, and all it was music and walking down a hallway. So.
Do you think about because there are so many action scenes and fight sequences, how your music and score kind of comes, interacts with sound effects and different elements of the other sound?
Oh, absolutely. Look, in my prior life, when you were probably all babies or not even born, I was a sound effects editor. I had to design sound effects for Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And I had to create some of the laser sounds and doors, and I worked on Voyager a little and the end of TNG. So it was a night shift gig, and there are some times when sound effects are telling the story. There are some times when dialogue always tells the story. If you can't hear dialogue, no one's watching the show. But sometimes music tells it better, sometimes effects tell us it better. And I've learned, at least I try to learn, I continue to learn, that there are certain action scenes where the music is more prevalent, and there are some things when there are just so many effects and so many things that the music has to kind of support it but hang back. And those are judgment calls on the spot. There's no, that scene with the car when they rescued that family, there was a lot of music in there because there wasn't a lot of motors and stuff, but you have to sculpt it. That's the craftsmanship part rather than the artistry part. They take a lot of time. Those scenes. But.
As a fan of the show, is there anything that you're hoping to see in Jessica Jones season 3?
Geez, that's a great question. I suppose, one of my favorite episodes of season 2 is her origin story, when she met one of the loves of her life. I wonder what would it be like if she was in a real deep, loving relationship with somebody, like long term. I mean, she seems to, at the end, it implied that she was going to have a good time with this that character and the boy.
Super.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, sometimes the things you want aren't best for the show. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you want to see certain people get it together, but then it changes the drama somehow. So it's probably a little above my pay grade to figure out. But I love what Miss Ritter has done with the role, and the more she explores herself, the more interesting it is for me. I don't know, maybe there's a new Uber villain that would be, you know, I'd have to write a big theme for.
Uber villain. You know, speaking of heroes and villains in comics, you do sound like you're a fan, or at least a genre fan. Do you have a particular dream project? Somebody comes in and says, "We want you to write music for X." Who is X?
Wow. That'd be a very tough one to answer. Oh, sorry.
No, it's good.
I'm. I suppose the comic I read the most as a kid was Spider-Man. So I suppose I would probably be fairly excited about the opportunity to do Spider-Man. But Spider-Man's been done so well, it would be very hard to. But nonetheless, it would be very exciting to do.
Something in the Spider-Man verse.
I would love the Spider-Man verse. That would be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I guess kind of following up on that, thinking about, talked about how you very much inspired by visual elements and kind of seeing the actors and seeing the other designers.
Yeah.
At what point in the process do you start scoring and composing? Do you start at the beginning? Do you do some in the middle, some at the end?
I don't know if I said this before, but when I was in season 1, I wasn't allowed to look at the moving picture because the director was still cutting it, but they allowed me to see still photos. And still photos are very interesting because you can see things in a still photo that you don't see in a moving image. So when they showed Jessica's office, you saw the brown chair, and you saw, I started composing immediately. I mean, right from the script. But then when I got to slideshow and I got some of the snapshots, boy, that was like having a full meal. It was crazy, and I really appreciated seeing that rather than the moving part. I'd rather look at stills at the very beginning because you get more. You know, when you see an old picture of your mom, and she's doing something, you see something in her behavior that's captured in a still rather than a moving thing. That's how it was for me.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Well, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
I appreciate it.